it's a pleasure to be here. We know that we have had long discussions with you over many years. You know many of our leaders, obviously, Helen and Phil.
Yeah.
We also have a very strong link to the Chinese community. And we recognise the contribution of the Chinese community in New Zealand to our economy, to our culture, and also to our food, to our cuisine. Last year we had a visit to the Chinese Communist Party in Beijing, where as president of the Labour Party I was introduced to President Xi at a conference. But we also travelled to Urumqi in Xinjiang.
Xinjiang. Oh yeah, nice place.
To the far west.
Yeah. I would like to go one day.
It's fantastic. Well, I worked with China for many years, nearly 20 years. I worked in APEC, Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. I was a delegate of the New Zealand government from 1993 to 2010, 11.
Yeah.
And in that process, I worked very closely with the Chinese government on a number of things: economic policy, labour market policy, and so on. So I travelled to China many times, always to Beijing, always to a hotel, always to a conference, and back on the plane. So when you never see the country when you go to conferences. But I still write about China. I have a project about to begin on China. The Chinese government is trying to redistribute more wealth across China domestically. You know, the change in economic policy in China in part is about increasing consumption and extending wealth and affluence to more of the Chinese population. And I wish them well. It's a very difficult policy, but I understand they are trying. It is,
it's a lot easy, but a lot of population.
When I think of the figures in New Zealand and then the figures in China, where we have 100 people, China has 100 million. It is. There are many cities much bigger than in China. Many cities bigger than New Zealand.
You've been in China many times?
I've been 7 or 8 times.
Oh, a lot. Yeah.
It's a long time since I first went in 1993 or 1994. So it's a long time.
Early.
Oh yeah, long time. I can't remember now. It's sometime in the 1990s. But it was very interesting because, of course, the attitude of the Chinese officials has changed. When I first worked with China in APEC, if anybody mentioned Taiwan, the officials would all stand up and walk out. And it was something I understood. It was a very delicate, sensitive political question. Today, 30 years later, 20 years later, you mentioned Taiwan. Nobody, in my personal view, not the Labour Party view, my view is that is a temporary issue to do with a particular history and in time. I mean, clearly Chinese Taipei and China are the same country. I'm sure that a peaceful reunification will happen. You know, it's a question of time. And China is very patient. One thing about China has been here for very many thousands of years. It's a very patient country. It will wait, and it will wait. So I have confidence in Beijing.
China for the economy would better for the Taiwan because in China Taiwan selling a lot of fruits or a lot of product to the China, because China as an economy is a good and big population, and they can take a lot of thing from.
I think there are very good economic relationships already between Chinese Taipei and China. There is investment, there is now a flow of people. I know there are political sensitivities, I mean, obviously. But I think that in time a very mature and responsible relationship will lead to closer ties. The other side of that is that strong countries will continue. I think that we need strong, well-governed countries in the economy.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to China's role in a strong global economy, which is fair and gives opportunity for everybody, particularly New Zealand farmers.
Oh yeah.
I think one of the most interesting things that's happened in the last 10 years is that growth in tourism, the growth of exchange. I mean, there are many aspects to this. There are tourists. I work in the university, and I think probably 50% of my students are now Chinese.
Oh yeah.
And that's that they add all sorts of value to our scholarship. It's really important for us that we build on the Chinese population that is here and the tourists, and build that into the basis for a strong relationship with China.
China at the moment with Japan some conflict in some island, and also in South China Sea.
South China Sea. Then there's the South China Sea, and they have the Philippines and Brunei, lots of countries.
Malaysia. Vietnam,
yes.
many countries. To my opinion, we need to peaceful along the South China Sea involved. We should be talk and peacefully and settle.
Well, you know that New Zealand's preference in this region is always for peaceful, responsible conversations. Much better than any other way of solving problems. And one of the things that New Zealand does very well is act to support those types of conversations. And I know that if Labour was in power, we would strongly support sensible discussions about disputed territories.
Yeah, right.
We would.
Because South China Sea a lot of join a lot of country, and we need to peaceful to negotiate, to talk, to settle.
But
you mean just we got involved the country
in proper sensible discussions?
The discussion, and Chairman Xi been here twice.
Yes.
And also you in China meet him once.
I met him once. I attended the Silk Road Conference for the Labour Party, and he greeted all the leaders of the delegations in the Great Hall, and there were many countries, so I thought New Zealand would be here about number 47, and we were number 6 or something, which I thought was a very generous comment by the President. He honoured New Zealand by placing us with much more important countries than New Zealand is, and I thought that was a very respectful, and I was very impressed by that. And we had he held a discussion afterwards. It was very informal. He's a very interesting man. He has a sense of humour. He's a very human person. Very open.
Yeah. We are like we overseas people and Chinese. We like Chairman Xi too.
He's very welcoming. I said to myself afterwards, I could see myself having a beer with him.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Next
talk-
time.
Yeah.